Do you ever feel like you're a step behind when XRP's price skyrockets or crashes? You're not alone because there's a lot of moving pieces to the XRP story. If you look at this chart and find yourself asking, what's going on here? Well, you're about to find out. So be sure to subscribe because I'm going to be putting out a lot more deep dives like this going forward, and you definitely don't want to miss out on them. Given this beginning of the chart, let's look at the very first year of XRP trading from August 5th, 2013 to August 4th, 2014. Over the year, we had about a 12% drop, 11.84%. But in that same year, so it's not that significant of a decline, but we had a 95% drawdown. So that'd be from here to there, 95% down. And then we had one day where it's up 80.98, almost 81%. We had another day where it's down 40%. This is a dynamic you're going to see repeating over and over again, where XRP's good days will typically be significantly better than the bad days, but the bad days can be pretty bad, and they can also stack up to create some large drawdowns. But with that said, we're going to look at this over a more long-term time frame and see what's actually been happening over the years. So we start off, we're at half a cent back August 2013. I think this is pretty normal for any type of asset. You get, it's a new asset, you get some interest. At this time, it was mostly just probably Ripple, either Ripple employees or a tiny little handful of Ripple enthusiasts. I doubt there was a lot of individuals actively trading at this point, but you get some initial volatility with not a lot of news. And then, so we go forward to November 12th, Ripple Labs secures its $3.5 million seed funding for a total of $9.5 million since April. And this is already interesting, just right out of the gate. So from a very, very early stage, Ripple was attracting very influential investors. You've got first on the list, Andreessen Horowitz, who we look in the backstory. This is an amazing backstory. If any of you are unfamiliar with Andreessen Horowitz, they've backed just about every huge name you could imagine. I'm going to just go through some of the big ones. And this is actually, it's a big list, but in the grand scheme of what all they've invested in, it's not that big of a list. But Skype was a big one. They sold that to Microsoft, Facebook, Groupon, Twitter, and Zynga when they were still private. Also, Airbnb, Foursquare, Stripe, GitHub, Coinbase, obviously Ripple here, BuzzFeed, Stack Exchange, Medium, CryptoKitties, Substack, Roblox, OpenSea, and tons of others. When you consider that they invested in Ripple, which at the time was OpenCoin, so early, this is a huge sign in itself. Andreessen Horowitz has a knack for finding successful startups early on, and this has played out exactly as you'd expect. So in addition, in this seed round, we got Lightspeed Venture Partners, Bitcoin Opportunity Fund, Google Ventures, and IDG Capital Partners. So go forward, we got this big run up after the seed funding round. And again, it's a new asset. People are trying to figure out what the deal is. It goes up, comes back down. Go forward to May 5th, 2014. Ripple's already working partnerships. So May 5th, German Fidor Bank AG is the first bank to use the Ripple protocol. And this doesn't really move the needle much. You got to realize this is so early on. There's not a lot of partnerships at this point. They've just got these solid investments. But beyond that, this is a limited number of partners. It's a brand new technology. We go forward into the year, about half a cent. And it's effectively from start of the year to the end of the year. And I'm specifically talking about 1 year in from first day of XRP trading, August to August. So it's about flat. It's minus 12% may sound like a drop, but really this is pretty flat considering the volatility that you're going to see. It's typical of XRP. Okay, now we're going into year two, 2014 through 2015, August timeframe. Starting the year about where it started, first day of trading ever, about a half a cent. And you see it finishes the year, it's up 62% on the year with, again, tons of volatility. So let's dig into this. You got pretty flat for the first few months. And again, they start announcing some partnerships with banks. Ripple does. So partnership with U.S. banks, CBW and Cross River. and this doesn't really move the needle yet. And then a little shortly thereafter, we start getting some initial surge again, and not driven by any news. There's not really any particular news that's driving this. And we get to December 4th, 2014, Ripple partners with Earthport, who specialize in international transfers, and continues going up, goes up on the year 50% approximately. No, goes up on the year about 5 times, more than 5 times. So it starts at half a cent, goes up to almost 3 cents. So then comes back down. And this is something I have noticed that you'll see this over the years, at least quite a few times repeating itself, where they'll do these funding rounds very close to bottoms. So we start here at 2.79 cents and we get a significant drawdown. We get a 79.4% drawdown going into May 2015. And then we've got our Series A funding round. We get $28 million funding. That's the bottom. That spelled the bottom there. And the Series A was another big round. You get IDG Capital Partners investing again. And then now we've got Seagate Technologies. And if you've never seen a Seagate hard drive, they specialize in data storage, all types of different storage drives. And they're an interesting use case because they pay suppliers all over the world in all sorts of different currencies. So what this is telling us is that this is only 2 years in, less than 2 years in of XRP beginning to trade. And Ripple is a very new, relatively unknown company. And you've got this massive, Seagate Technologies is a massive hard drive manufacturer. You've already got Seagate Technologies investing in their company. And they're already seeing the value in what Ripple's trying to do here. So you've also got AME Cloud Ventures that invested in Evernote and Zoom. And then RRE Ventures, who's known for investing in Business Insider, BuzzFeed, and Venmo. So think about that too. RRE Ventures, they invested in Venmo. They're already seeing the value here. Okay. So there was others as well. But regardless, we hit that bottom, this half a cent. It's actually about 0.6 cents here, and 28 million injected. Okay, starts coming back up a bit. And then we just see some volatility going into the rest of the year. But overall, prior year was flat relatively. And then this year's up 62%. And despite lots of volatility, there's a little bit of gains going into that. Okay, next we've got 2015 to 2016, which is year 3 of XRP trading. And if I was going to sum this year up, I would just call it it's like a wild year that's not really going anywhere as XRP is, but Ripple as a company is just killing it. Just quarter after quarter, they're continuing to push forward with their mission. So we start off at 0.8 cents and coming down to, and so if we go back again to, this is kind of a longer term trend. It just continues to go from 0.8 down to 0.4. So we see a 50% drawdown earlier in the year. And then October 6, 2015, Santander Ventures, we got a $4 million investment in the Series A. And for anyone who doesn't know, Ventures is the investment arm. But the bank, Ventures, is a multinational bank with 23% of their profit coming from the UK, 19% from Brazil, 12% Spain, and then it just decreases from there for the other places. But it's a multinational bank. So that's a big deal right there. This multinational bank is investing in Ripple. So they're already seeing the value here with that Series A. After the Series A, it continues to go down to about 0.4 cents, shoots up, effectively more than doubles in a short number of days. And then as soon as it comes up, it goes back down. This is something you're going to see repeating itself throughout this video. And likely this sort of surging and dropping is going to continue into the future. Although the volatility I haven't been seeing this type of volatility that's not news driven more recently, but going forward, we get to January 29th, 2016, SBI Holdings partnership. This brings huge opportunities all over Asia. The SBI Holdings announcement brought on tons of value transfer opportunities. And so when I'm saying value transfer, something that's been repeated by Ripple executives throughout the years is that a good way to look at Ripple is like the internet of transferring value. So think of the normal internet as transferring information, and Ripple seeks to digitize the transfer of value globally. So this SBI Holdings announcement, you've got tons of value transfer opportunity all over the Asia Pacific region. And SBI already had an existing joint venture with companies like eLoan, eTrade, Morningstar, and 10 others in the ASEAN region. ASEAN is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. And all in all, this SBI partnership gave Ripple a pre-existing network to start deploying their solutions. Again, though, interesting. You've got more banks coming on board early before XRP had even come into mainstream awareness. We go forward some more, no major news, just kind of oscillating around. And May 27, 2016, Santander UK launches a pilot payment transfer app with Ripple. And this news seems to boost Ripple, but then again, just comes back down. I feel like this is something you're going to see change somewhat in later years, where you will start to see peaks that have better explanation. I just feel like these are the early days of Ripple, and some of these movements don't have a good explanation just other than riding the wave. You get these surges with people fear of missing out, FOMO, and then you've also got the declines, just people wanting to take profit. You look on Reddit right now and you see all kinds of people talking about, well, it could still go up, but I wanted to pay off my car note or whatever. And that's the sort of thing that drives this, and it's unavoidable. Bottom line, though, for the year, so this is year 3. Year ended up down, despite quite a bit of good news. But that's just the way it works sometimes. It's down 31.3%. Again, this number that kind of keeps recurring. You had the best one-day gain in this time frame. There was one day with a 25.8% gain, about 26%, and then one day with about a 13% loss, and you're seeing that 2-to-1 ratio. So it's like, again, XRP has the good days are about twice as good as the bad days, but when the bad days stack up, you get these big drawdowns like you had there, the 53.56, which would have been from here down to 0.41. Okay, this next year, 2016 to 2017, is year 4. And this year was so huge that it just flatlines this first part. So I'm actually breaking this. I'm going to zoom out in just a second, but we end up for the year, but August 2016 through August 2017, you end up with almost a 3,000% gain, which is insane. A lot of this was driven by the overall Bitcoin craze as well as the just crypto craze in general. But we start off the year again. Look, this number keeps coming up. We're around the 0.5, 0.6 range. So we're starting into year 4 of XRP trading, and XRP is effectively at a flat line. And I see all of this as just a massive underappreciation of what they've actually been doing behind the scenes. XRP is just kind of staying flat, and they're continuing to get investors. They're continuing to get partnerships with banks. They're continuing to build out their software frameworks to transfer value from institution to institution. Yet you're basically starting where XRP started at the beginning. So we go into September 15th. They have a record-breaking funding round, $55 million. And the interesting thing about this investment round, and lots of banks invested, or an increasing number of banks want a piece of Ripple because they already are seeing what's going on here. The list here for the Series B, you've got Standard Chartered, which is also a multinational bank. They get 90% of their profits from Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. So this is a non-American international operations. Accenture invested in the Series B. You've got SCB, which is Siam Commercial Bank Digital Venture. So SCB Digital Ventures. You've got SBI Holdings again. They keep investing. And Santander InnoVentures that we talked about on the last year. And then CME Group, which is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, wants a part of this. And then Seagate Technology, the hard drive maker, is still coming back in for more. Okay, so next, going into October 20th, you have 12 banks under this R3 consortium. It's all non-US. Yeah, all non-US banks. They're testing XRP for cross-border payments. So this is when the rubber is first starting to meet the road for on a larger scale for the utility aspect of using XRP to transfer value across borders. So the 12 banks. In Canada, you had BMO Financial, CIBC, Royal Bank of Canada, Scotiabank. In Europe, you had Intesa Sanpaolo from Italy, Natixis from France, Nordea, which is Nordic country, Santander in Spain, Barclays, which is in the UK. And down in Australia, you have Macquarie Group, National Australia Bank, and Westpac Banking. So these are all testing out XRP for cross-border payments, yet it's going down. This is just all still sort of speculative at this point. It still is under the radar for most people. And I see all of this as just building. It's almost like building this secret, I'm not going to say a secret weapon, but it's like building this special machine and no one really knows what it is yet. But we go forward. And this is another thing to pay attention to. One thing I do see, and that is also probably explaining a lot of this. You see this flat line right before the election. In general, before elections, there's still so much regulatory uncertainty with XRP at this point. They don't know what's coming, the XRP investors. So they're also not knowing what's going to happen with this election. And I believe going into the November 8th election, from my recollection, everyone... The standard narrative you would see and hear from other people was that Hillary Clinton was going to win that election. So I believe that there was maybe some expectations of that. And then when that didn't happen, when Trump won the election, you start seeing the price drop off. I just think there's this uncertainty. Oh, we thought Hillary's going to win. Oh, she didn't win. What are we going to do now? Who's going to be the SEC chair? So around early January, late December timeframe, Trump announces that Jay Clayton is going to be the SEC chair. It's at about 0.66 cents. And then it just kind of continues stagnating. And then this is where we first start seeing this massive correlation in price movement between XRP and Bitcoin especially. So this is the beginnings of the crypto craze. So we go forward to March 3rd. On the year, XRP's barely done anything. I mean, it's gone from it's obviously oscillated, but it's gone from 0.58 cents. Now we're at 0.63 cents. And we've got Bitcoin here surpasses the price of 1 ounce of gold. This is just a massive headline all over the news. So all of a sudden, everyone is saying, oh, have you heard about that Bitcoin stuff? That's what everyone started saying at this time. And also around this time, you have another consortium. In this case, this is a Japanese consortium that originally, it's between SBI Ripple, but under SBI, they had originally only planned 15 banks just before the election. Only 15 were going to be part of this consortium, but then it jumps up to 30, and then everyone is liking the service. So 42 ended up jumping on board. And now this is when the insane Bitcoin surge occurred, which pulled XRP right with it, right up. So for that, I'm going to zoom out now to, it's still going to have this in here. Now we've got the full year. You see here, this is what I was just pointing out to with the consortium, the Japanese banks. And then XRP surges up. So it goes from 0.6 cents to 6 cents. So it goes up 10 times in a month. And this huge spike was when the Japanese government said they would accept Bitcoin as a legal form of payment. And then as soon as that news, you get profit taking, you see a drop, and then you just kind of see a stagnation just moving around there. And then at this time also, this is early May, Russia had previously said that I don't recall if it was could or would jail people trading crypto, but Russia greenlighted crypto and said they're not going to jail people trading Bitcoin. And then this just caused more surge. And at this point, people are talking about Bitcoin is going to do away with money, all of this. And it just went into this crypto mania that XRP was taken along for the ride. I mean, you've got there 5.5 cents. So after that, you start getting this massive surge and Bitcoin pulls XRP up with it. We hit this peak on May 17th, 2017. XRP's at 39 cents. So keep in mind, this is from 0.58 cents at the beginning of the year. This is approximately, not going to pull out a calculator, it's around 66 times. Then it goes down, you get a profit taking across the board. This is not just XRP. This is a lot of this movement is, despite these good developments with Ripple, the company, a lot of these movements with XRP are just people piling into the crypto craze. And finish the year, lots of volatility ending the year, and XRP finishes at 17.5 cents, up for a 2,902% change. Interestingly, this is now XRP is actually getting somewhere where it's 3,018% up for all time. So XRP is actually starting to look like it's getting some good movement, some good appreciation. If all of this is resonating with you so far, go ahead and give the video a quick like. It really helps get the word out. Okay, so now despite this massive gain here, up to 17.5 cents, when we go into the next year, 17 to 18, so this is the beginning of year 5, we still start to see a significant gain. On the year, we see this crazy surge. And this is, again, driven by Bitcoin at that time. And one thing I want to add, I'm going to get to this in a second, but if all of this shows anything in terms of XRP not being a security for Ripple, it's that you can see these very tangible positive events occurring with the partnerships and such, and they're not driving the XRP. So ultimately there is a disconnect, but there's also a connection, and I'm going to get to that in a bit. But so going into 2017, we have November 16th, Ripple partners with American Express, FXIP. And what this was, it allowed real-time traceable cross-border payments between the US and the UK. And what Ripple did, they leveraged their pre-existing partnership with Santander UK. And then Santander partnered with American Express FX International Payments, or FX International Payments is FXIP. So go forward just a little bit. You notice the pace of development is starting to increase. And November 22nd, you get Axis Bank, which is India's third largest bank. And at the time, I'm not sure if it still is to this day, but it was the third largest bank at that time. And it's the first Indian bank to partner with Ripple. And when you think about the gigantic population in India and also the globalization of trade with India across the entire world, that's a big deal. And so that doesn't really move the needle much. XRP is just kind of staying still at this point. And then we start getting more news with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin actually surges. December 16th, Bitcoin hit its peak at 19,188. That was a close on December 16th. XRP still starts riding up. And I feel like this at that point is just, again, it's a castle in the sky. You have this massive surge of Bitcoin. XRP kind of disconnects from it, and people bid it up, and then you start having profit taking, which you've got $3.37 off 17 cents. That's almost 19.5x. So you're almost 20 times higher than where it was just about 4 months earlier. So that's a pretty gigantic gain. People start taking profits, bottoms out at 69 cents, which is still massively higher than 17 cents, especially for so few months. And then February 27th, it's announced that Ripple's partnering with Indocend, which is another Indian bank with 1,320 branches. Go forward a little bit. Again, though, you notice it's this crypto bull run is turning into a crypto bear market. So XRP is going down with it. And then March 6, 2018, this consortium of Japanese banks is now 61 banks, and they launch MoneyTap through SBI Ripple. And MoneyTap is similar to Zelle. So it's these 61 banks now working with the Ripple platform to transfer money between those banks. So this is the partnership of banks is growing steadily. Despite that, still goes down, comes up. You see some volatility going into the end of this year. And then you get another huge Indian bank partnership, June 27th, 2018, partnership with Kotak Mahindra. They have 1,300 branches. And then finish out the year, 44 cents for a full gain. Now, granted, it would have been nice to close at that peak, but regardless, even for holders, up 153.58%. And keep in mind, Ripple started at half a cent, and now just in a short number of years, it's up 44 cents, which is about a 88 times gain, which is pretty insane for such a short number of years. And keep in mind too, that is with this massive drawdown that year. So as is the case, anytime you start seeing losses, you're going to see, especially with the crypto bear market, you're going to see the government start stepping in and wanting to start regulating things. So this is kind of like the dawn of the regulations. So despite that, so this next year, 2018, 2019, the year ended with a 26% decline. Although you got to keep in mind that's on the tail of a 150+% gain the year before for holders through the whole year. So starts the year, continues the drop that was already going from previous, and gets some volatility. And then September 17th, Sagar Sarbhai, who is the head of regulatory relations for the Asia Pacific and Middle East at Ripple at the time, he says that xRapid, which now xRapid is called on-demand liquidity, or ODL. He says it's going to be ready in 1 month. And so what ODL is, this is the mechanism, the software mechanism that allows XRP to be used to transfer wealth across borders, or just transfer wealth in general through XRP to go from one currency to another currency. So that causes a massive surge. So this is what this is showing you. This is all building up to the point. So we've got all these prior events where you've got a great development with Ripple making a partnership, but it didn't move the needle. But here now with xRapid, now ODL coming online, that's actually some stuff that's going to increase the demand for XRP, which is ultimately what drives the price given a fixed supply. So it surges up from 27 cents up to close to 60 cents. So you get more than 100% gain in just a matter of days. More good news, October 1st, Qualix, which is, that's a Mexican bank. Mercury FX is a UK bank. And then Catalyst Corporate Federal Credit Union, they all announced. So the Catalyst Corporate, that's based in Plano, Texas. I'm not sure exactly where their operations are, but regardless, you get 3 banks. They're going 100% with xRapid. They're going to start using xRapid, and despite that, start getting some volatility. And then there were a lot of things going on at this point, but SEC settled charges against 2 companies for initial coin offerings, or ICOs, offering unregistered securities. So anyone who's been following XRP for a while knows that key phrase, unregistered securities. That's what is going to bite. That's what's going to bite XRP over the coming years into this. Not going forward from now, in my opinion, but at least going forward from this point in 2018. So from that point, XRP's back down, and that pretty much spelled the peak. That it's at 0.47, and it just pretty much doesn't pass that point again. And then this is when the mounting fears began, which when you think about this, 47 cents, XRP was at 47 cents just a month ago. This is now December 2024. Just about approximately a month ago, it was at 47 cents. So this has been lingering since this time when people started becoming worried about the unregistered securities. So down it goes. Go forward, January 2019, Ripple announces over the previous 2018 Q4 that they had listed XRP on 30 new exchanges, which XRP is now listed on 100 total. Doesn't move the needle. It's just volatile. You get this surge on no news. I couldn't find any news associated with that surge. Goes up, and then here going into June 27th, this was a massive decline. This specific day was a massive decline across all crypto, pulls down XRP with it, and then finished the year at 31.6 cents for year over year here, minus 26%. And again, what I've been pointing out, so you had best one day gain was 38%. Worst one day loss was 17%. So it's close again to that 2-to-1 ratio. Okay, so now we are at 2019 to 2020. This is when just pretty much everything fell to pieces, not just across crypto, but just the whole world fell to pieces. And I'll get to that in a second. But to put this in perspective, S&P at the time was making fresh highs and just continued going up. This was a time when people were saying that they were asking if the VIX would just go down forever. And people all started shorting the VIX and lost almost all their money. And so that was leading into what I always refer to as the COVID crash. But so on the regulatory front, on November 15th, 2019, FinCEN, which is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, they clarify that stablecoins are money transmitters and they are subject to AML, which is anti-money laundering, and CFT, which is countering financial terrorism. So stablecoins are now subject to regulation. And again, this is just getting everyone invested in XRP. It's concerning because it's now just where once before you see a nice field at the end of the tunnel. It's like now it's starting to look dark at the end of the tunnel, or it's at least looking foggy at the end of the tunnel. So we go forward, December 3rd, 2019, Michael Held, who is the executive vice president and general counsel at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, he emphasized the need for crypto regulations. And the thing that just keeps coming up over and over throughout this time period is regulations about the crypto market. And go forward a bit more. As usual, what I've pointed out, you're near this bottom. And now granted, it did go down further, but now we got the Series C. December 20th, 2019, you get the Series C, a massive $200 million raise. And this one was Tetragon, SBI Holdings again, and Route 66 Ventures. Gets a good, nice rise. And so actually, I don't even know that it would have tanked like this had what I'm about to say not happened. So February 15th, 2020, we get the first COVID death in Europe. And also at that time, Beijing started doing where the people that had participated in the Lunar New Year celebrations, they needed to go do 14-day self-quarantining. So this was all going around in the news. And then we go forward, February 19th, 2020. So at this point, XRP is already starting to come down, but the S&P 500 peaked that day, February 19th. It peak closed that day. This is just the beginning of at least the temporary calamity. So every day from this day forward, February 19th, the S&P is falling. So the market is falling as a whole. So businesses are going down, but we haven't hit the big bad one yet. XRP is coming down. And then interestingly, so March 13th was the day that everything went wild. That was actually Friday the 13th. And that was the day that if you had been watching TV that day, Trump comes in. It's one of these, we interrupt this broadcast to bring you this announcement. Trump did an announcement like that, and he announces the travel restrictions, and he lists out these countries that we can't travel. I don't remember the exact circumstances of that, but that there was this massive travel restriction, and then very soon thereafter, it was 14 days to flatten the curve. And from there, XRP actually did well after that. The market was pretty rough for a while, lots of volatility. When I say the market, I'm referring to just stock market. But then we start getting a little bit more positive news after all this bear market in the crypto. You have May 11th was the Bitcoin halving. And for anyone who's unaware, the halving, so when Bitcoin is mined in blocks, whichever miner solves the cryptographic puzzle, they get a block reward. And so at this point, the number of Bitcoin rewarded to the successful miner gets cut in half. So you see volatility, and then XRP ends up finishing this 1 year time span at about close to 29 cents. So for the year, despite all this crazy volatility, let me point this out. Here it inverted. So the best 1 day gain this year was half of the max 1 day loss. So that may be something to keep in mind in terms of black swans. When you have just some bad, unexpected things, you may end up over a 1 year period expecting bigger losses than the best day on a single day than best day gain. But overall for the year, finished down 10%. It was, in terms of normal volatility for XRP, relatively flat year. Okay, this next year, August 2020 through August 2021, this was the beginning for anyone who has been following the recent news surrounding XRP in 2024. This is where all of the stuff started. I'll get to that in just a second. This year, election year, you're just seeing a lot of oscillating, not really a lot of crazy movements up or down going into the election. Keep in mind, this is later in the year after the big COVID crash in the markets, and we're at November 5th. The FOMC kept the Fed rates between 0.25%. They make that announcement. That reassures the markets. And then November 7th, 2020, news outlets report Biden is the winner. So just regardless of outcomes in general, when there is an outcome, it's now, okay, there's less uncertainty. The market starts reacting. XRP starts rising. XRP was at about a quarter at that point, so it had dropped a decent bit going into that stretch. And then on November 16th, the S&P breaks its prior high from back on February 19th, earlier in the year. And XRP goes up quite a bit. XRP's doing pretty nicely around the 70 cent mark, but this is where it all takes a big turn because SEC's not going to let them sit there very long. So on December 21st, SEC files this big lawsuit that has been going on to this day. And this lawsuit was alleging by the SEC that Ripple had sold, a keyword I've said before, unregistered securities to the public in the form of XRP. They basically said Ripple sold XRP as a way to raise money for their company without following rules for selling investments like stocks. So the SEC said people bought XRP expecting Ripple to increase its value. So investors treated buying XRP like an investment into Ripple's future success. This single event was the beginning of all the crap we've been seeing over the past few years. And obviously, market did not like this. So it goes from 52 cents approximately down to 20 in a matter of days. 20 cents, very close to it. And then it bottoms out there. And this is where you're going to see lots of regulations start shaping everything that's happening. So we fast forward to March 3rd. XRP investors challenge the SEC in court. And then this starts to show a little bright side to all of this. And then on March 22nd, notice at this point, XRP's about back up a little higher than where it was when the lawsuit first got filed. But Judge Sarah Netburn comments that XRP differed from Bitcoin and Ethereum. That was not an official ruling, so that wasn't legally binding, but she made that comment. And that was taken as a big positive by the XRP army. Boom, starts going up. And then we get to right around mid-April. XRP's at $1.79. So people are starting to see some greener pastures ahead. But the SEC Commissioner Pierce introduces the Token Safe Harbor Proposal 2.0. And what this did, it said that new blockchain projects involving tokens would have a 3-year exemption from registration and securities regulation to allow them time to A, decentralize, and B, gain full utility. But the thing is, at this point, we're well past the 3-year mark. So now here we are again. Lack of regulatory clarity, boom, goes down. Okay, so fast forward a bit. June 14th, Ripple wanted disclosure from SEC on internal documents on how internally the SEC decided what constituted an unregistered security and what did not. They're basically saying you don't have consistent decisions on this, and we want a disclosure. And so the deadline for this got extended. So now it's just longer slog through the mud for clarity. And then XRP still, though, despite all this craziness, finishes the year at 74 cents. And when I say the year, I just mean August time frame. Finishes the year at 74 cents, up 138.5%. So keep in mind, this is well over 100 times gain since its initial trades in early 2013. Okay, so now we're at 2021 through 2022 August time frame, and year starts at XRP's at 71 cents. Again going back, there had been started rising going into this. It continued rising, and then it just kind of stagnates here. August 31st, 2021, Ripple files motion for greater clarity from the SEC. So this was what the postponement had been. So now they've got to get some greater clarity. Goes up, starts just kind of oscillating around, pretty normal. Here we go. Bitcoin closes at $66,946 all-time high on November 9th, 2021. And just as quickly as it hit that high, came down pretty fast. I'm talking about Bitcoin, but also XRP. So at that point, XRP's at $1.26 approximately, and it dropped pretty close to what Bitcoin did. So Bitcoin was down 47.5% by January 22nd. XRP's roughly the same. And then, so see, as has been noted previously, Bitcoin historically drives XRP, if especially on the upside and the downside. So this trend has repeated itself. We go forward a couple of days, January 24th, the judge grants SEC more time to appeal ruling. So basically at this point, the SEC, they want to appeal. They don't want to have to show these sensitive documents, which clearly it tells you they're probably, and I'm not an attorney, but it probably is saying, we don't want you to see what we've been saying privately because that may actually be favorable to Ripple's case. So we need some more time to get all of our stuff together here. So that causes XRP goes back up again from the 60 cent range up into the 80s, about 33% gain. And then as the Bitcoin market keeps going down, Bitcoin here by July 2nd, 2022, Bitcoin was down 71% from the high just a few months earlier. And likewise from the high here at approximately $1.40 that XRP had hit, XRP was down even more, almost down 78% just from here to the bottom, I think right there. And then finishes the year out 37 cents for almost a 50% loss. But still keep in mind, it's now at 37 cents. For initial holders who were holding at half a cent, they're still looking pretty good there. So now we go into more of the next events. What you're about to see here is just effectively couldn't even be more perfect to make the SEC want to be regulating the hell out of things more. But so going in 2022, you got XRP at 37 cents. Things are looking good. XRP's coming up, staying around here. Oh no. Now, November 2nd, CoinDesk reports Alameda Research, which that guy, Sam Bankman-Fried, this was his research firm that was like a sister firm to FTX, the crypto exchange. And it was reported through an internal document that most of the assets that Alameda Research had were just FTT, which FTT was the FTX token. So it's like a lot of people at the time were calling it like the Monopoly token. And there was a bunch of other names too. But so this is not good because this means a major exchange is on a house of cards at this point. So 4 days later, Binance says they're going to sell all their FTT, their FTX token. And this now is basically just wiping out FTX. Because if they're selling their massive holder of FTT, that you have massive selling like that, that's just going to tank it. And so then 5 days later, November 11th, FTX is bankrupt. And then in a matter of days after that, Sam Bankman-Fried is arrested. And this just pulled down the whole crypto market, including, I forgot to say too, November 8th, FTX halts the withdrawals. And then 3 days later, they're bankrupt. And then we get more XRP just kind of going sideways. And then on March 6th, Judge Torres rules to exclude some expert testimony on what constitutes an unregistered security. And the key was that the big expert the SEC had that they were actually paying to testify on this, his name is Patrick Doody. And the SEC had hired him to analyze the XRP profit expectation from Ripple's efforts. So when they excluded this guy, the SEC case got weakened. And in the eyes of the XRP investors, that was a good thing. So XRP immediately started to gain some upward momentum, started going up. And then SEC chair Gary Gensler, who, if anyone's been following this online, Gary Gensler is not very well liked by the XRP army. Gary Gensler will not clarify to Congress if Ether, the token backing Ethereum blockchain, is a security or not. He won't say. So he's ambiguous. And then go forward. So at this point we got some positive developments with the regulations. XRP goes up, and then now Gary Gensler won't clarify, so XRP goes down. And then SEC director at the time from 2018, Hinman, his speech is unsealed where he stated Ether should not be a security, which that is massively big for XRP and for Ripple, and that's providing a lot of clarity. So XRP is up and oscillating around, and then big ruling. July 13th, Annalisa Torres, the judge, rules XRP is not a security in retail sales, but rules that it is a security when it comes to institutional sales. So that is like half of the coin has now been, when I say half the coin, it's like half of the problem is now resolved. But now there's another half. What about the institutional sales? What's going to happen with that? Well, the SEC wanted Ripple, if I remember correctly, approximately, they wanted them to pay $2 billion in penalties for the institutional sales. And so now we finished the year. XRP's at almost 69 cents. Started the year at 37 cents. End up with an 85% gain. And a lot of this is just due to some of these regulatory, which are kind of speculation, but it's positive speculation at this point, leading up to that July 13th ruling, and finished the year at 68 cents. Notice too, this year, the max one-day gain is 73%. So historically, big rulings that clear up regulatory uncertainty tend to result in massive single-day gains that could, more than that, in this year at least, more than wiped out the largest drawdown of the entire year. The largest drawdown was 37%, and then it has a 73% gain in one day. And now we find ourselves at the present, most recent year, 2023 through 2024. And this is where the rubber's actually starting to meet the road, in my opinion. Just going back to August 7th. So the year started at about 63, 64 cents. And it effectively stayed in this range of pretty much from 50 cents to around 70 cents. The whole from August almost past August, just nonstop, just kind of moving up and down the whole time, because there's all of these things that are all in the to come down the road, and no one knows what's going to happen yet. So we got August 7th. There's this final ruling on the whole SEC unregistered securities. The court orders a $125 million fine to Ripple for institutional sales, which that at first may sound bad, but the SEC had wanted the $2 billion. So this is really good news. But here we are. You still don't know what's about to happen with the election. So you can't react too strong, because at this time too, Gary Gensler's got no intention of going anywhere, and they're appealing everything. So just a few months later, we get the announcement that Ripple's partnering with Brazil's largest crypto exchange, Mercado Bitcoin, and they're offering Ripple payments first to Mercado, and then more businesses in Brazil will have access shortly after. And then Ripple payments, just FYI, is the latest version of what was up until recently called RippleNet. And going forward, we hit November 5th. Notice some big changes here, but I'm going to go into it. So November 5th, we get the results of the U.S. presidential election. And surprisingly, I didn't know what to expect actually going into that, but surprisingly, it was announced that Donald Trump was the winner, that he had won the Electoral College, and after that, XRP started to surge pretty rapidly. And just for a little bit of context here, let me show you. I've shown a lot of people this, and I've told people, there's people that don't even believe this is real, or that this is some type of fake product. This is actually sold to help fund Trump's campaign. This is endorsed by Trump. And if you look closely, these are sold out, but we've got Trump crypto president. This is Trump's shoes. So, and he's got his signature on the box. And going back to this though, so the XRP army saw this as a positive. And in general, the crypto community at large saw this as a positive that Donald Trump won the election. And so now we go forward. November 13th, only about a week after the election, Robinhood lists XRP so now people on Robinhood can buy and sell XRP. Then a few days after that, about another week later, Wisdom Tree announces they're opening an XRP ETP, exchange traded product. Not at that time, still not available to U.S. customers. It's just available to customers outside the U.S. But nonetheless, that's a positive. Then November 21st, just 2 days after this, SEC Chair Gary Gensler, Trump had said, I'll fire him on day one. And then Gary Gensler announces he's going to resign the day of Trump's inauguration. So he's out on January 20th. And then go forward to December 2nd. Today's December 4th. December 2nd, Wisdom Tree files an S1 with the SEC to create an XRP spot ETF. And then just in the last couple of days also, it's just been sort of rumors online, but there are now reports that the launch of RLUSD, which is the Ripple stablecoin backed by US dollars, that the launch of that is imminent. So with all of this is one of the biggest surges that's been in quite a while. And most of it has occurred in just the last few weeks. So effectively, XRP went from close to 50 cents to now. It's a little lower right now, but this was $2. I think it's around the $2.50 range right now. When I had created this graphic, it was at $2.62. But regardless, on this period, August 2023 to today, Ripple's XRP is up 313% about. There's been lots of ups and downs. There's always going to be lots of ups and downs with XRP. Very volatile, but given all of these developments, I cannot overstate how big of a deal what is coming forward is, in my opinion. Yeah, so this brings us here we've got Ripple now partnered in over 55 different countries. Ripple Payments is processing well over 10 billion a year in cross-border transactions. You've got Trump announcing Paul Atkins to be his SEC chairman. He has to be confirmed. He is friendly to the crypto community, and there's a lot of positives on the horizon. And it's hard to make predictions But my personal opinion, and this is not financial advice, but my personal opinion is that a lot of the headwinds have very recently passed, especially the major ones. And I believe that although it's going to be a volatile ride, I think there's a lot of promise for Ripple to become the internet of value transfer going into the future. And I think that that will be a good thing and a positive overall, especially over a multi-year time frame. I personally believe that'll be a big positive for XRP. Also, if any of you have been wondering exactly how XRP works and also how XRP and RLUSD work together, you definitely need to check out this video right here.